What is your best unrealized dream or your best unrealized idea?
That's a tough one. That's a
You got
tough
so
one.
many $1 billion ideas floating around
That
in your
is
head.
so. All right, phrase it one more time. Give it to me one more time. I got you.
Okay. What is your best unrealized idea?
That's such a trippy question though, because I haven't realized it yet.
No, it hasn't. It just hasn't come to fruition.
Oh, but okay,
So
I got one. I got one.
yeah.
I came up with a really good idea to
Okay.
to make like a subscription service that you could go onto a website and it would have every sort of streaming thing from Netflix, Hulu, Amazon. It would have like food delivery services, all that. And you could select payment tiers and have access to click 4 or 5 of different ones and just have like one monthly payment go out. I've had that thought for like the past 2 years, and I always tell myself if I get into like a financial spot to where I can make it happen, I would try to like launch it. But I think it would be a good idea.
I have so many thoughts about that.
So instead of having to have like 8 different subscriptions and pay, maybe $300 a month in total, there
Hmm.
could be a website that collects them all together, and maybe you only pay about 250 to unlock access to like 6 or 8 different ones, and you can rotate in and out.
Okay. So, couple thoughts.
Okay. Oh, here we
Uh,
go.
I just want to
Oh,
just want to make sure that you
shooting
work
right
out
off
the
the
nooks
hip.
and
That's fine.
crannies right before you launch this idea.
Okay.
Um,
Fine tune it.
as far as streaming services, that would mean us going back to cable. As far as food delivery services, that would kind of monopolize the market, and you would have to worry about drivers of like Uber Eats or
Well, like no,
DoorDash.
let me fine tune it. What I
Okay.
mean is like food delivery services like foodchef.com where they'll deliver meals to your house to cook. That's a subscription
Oh,
service.
okay, okay.
Say guy and you like use him's products
Hmm.
and you get that subscription service, and say Liquid IV is another thing you can get subscription, like Netflix, Hulu, like I'm trying to think of ones that are subscription service based. But I like if you took
Okay.
all those and made a giant website where you could pick from them and have like your choice to rotate in and out, because it almost feels like they make life too expensive to get all of.
True.
It's like, oh, do you
Yeah.
want this? We got it. It's $20 a month. Do you need this? Yeah, I need that too. Oh, it's another $20 a month. And you look and you're like, I could justify spending 8 grand a month on stuff I need, like vitamins personalized, like shampoos, like everything in your life you can get sent to you like on the regular, but $10, 15, 20, 30, 42, like all of it adds up. And I
Right.
feel like it's all made to be too expensive. So if maybe there was a site where you could go in and put this is how much I want to spend a month on the things I need in my life, and then they could just bring up a bunch of options for you to choose from.
You know what? I like the idea of where it's going. I'm interested to see how you bring it out, how it comes to fruition.
I am too, and I hope this doesn't become a thing in 2 months because somebody saw this and just flew with it. And I'm on Twitter just browsing around, and there's a subscription website link. I
All your
want
subscriptions
20%.
here.
I want 20% if anybody takes it. I want 20%.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Take a Space Podcast. I am your host, Leah. Today, I am joined by Curt of Half Hour Bros Podcast. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Would you mind telling my audience a little bit about your show?
Yes, I'll start with saying that's a really cool intro. That's a cool way to intro the show, is with like a question and a little bit of back and forth before they even like hear about like the guest. I like that.
Oh, thank you.
There's some shows when they start, it's just like they're just like, all right, and like, and you're just like, well, what? Who is any? Like, slow down a minute. Like, let me. Like you have to. It's like music. Podcast is like music. You have to groove into it. You have to.
Yes.
You can't just start and be like, 1942. They're like, all right, well, you already lost me. Like, anyway, sorry. I appreciate a good like format to a show, so I appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Um, we are the Half Hour Bros podcast. It's me and my brother. Every Friday, new episodes at Half Hour Bros Pod is the Twitter, halfhourbros@gmail.com. comedy, brother, beer, movie review. You know, I'm 30, he's 38, so we argue a bunch. He's the older brother, I'm the younger brother. There's a lot of banter. I will say discretion is advised. Definitely. Discretion's definitely advised. So don't say I didn't warn you if you tune in and your ears explode.
No, I was just listening to your previous episode that aired on Thursday, and you all just hit like 2,000 on Twitter. Awesome,
Right.
and you're doing trivia for the rest of this month.
Trivia, yeah. There's actually one we dropped. I work retail, so sometimes I don't even know what day it is.
I
I
understand.
I think today's Saturday.
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
cool. So yes, yesterday we dropped a new episode where we kicked off the trivia. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was okay. Maybe it wasn't. I was just listening to like one of your recent ones, and yeah, it was. Yeah, it was the one that you just released. And but yeah, I saw that you all are uh, interacting in different in the podcast community and engaging with other podcasts. So I think that's really cool. How long have you been podcasting?
A little over a year. I think we hit a year in March.
Oh, nice. So you started
Yeah.
right around lockdown.
Oh yeah, like we started when coronavirus, everyone was like, it's a flu, whatever. It'll be gone. We'll take some antibiotics and we'll all be fine in like 2 weeks. You know, so you remember that? When
Yes.
everybody was just like,
Just 2 weeks. Just
yeah,
it's okay. Just go
if you would have
inside for
told
two
them to
weeks.
put a mask on, they probably would have hit you. They were like, "What? I'm not putting a mask on. It's not that serious." Like we started right then, and then the pandemic hit, and we had it about as long as the pandemic's been around. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what made you want to get into podcasting?
Um, we talk a lot. Like, I mean, I only have my brother as a sibling, real close knit family. So we talk all the time as much as we can. And we were he got me into podcasts because at first I was like, I don't know what a podcast is. And he was like, look, and I
Yeah.
was like, that's just like radio. I don't understand what that. And so I got really into him. And he called me one day and he was like, well, let's just start one. And I was like, I don't think you can just start one. You know, in my head, I'm like, are there legal fees? Do I need to get like an attorney? Do I have to make it an LLC? Does it need to be like a registered trademark? And I told him, I was like, give me a month to look into it. And in a month, I had a little makeshift studio in my guest bedroom, and that was it. It was
Oh,
up from
nice.
there.
I mean, at least you were intentional about it because some people like myself kind of do it off on a whim and
Right.
kind of just not knowing where they're going. But I made sure that at least there's some intention behind it so that when people hear it, they're hopefully inspired to
Right.
move forward and change. So today we're actually going to be talking about how things have shifted, and social media has introduced us to a lot of things that we may not were aware of 20 years ago, 15 years
100%.
ago, 10 years ago. Because 10 years ago was what?
MySpace, and I think Facebook.
AOL?
I think Facebook
I don't
was
think
around. I think Facebook's older than 10 years old. If
is.
it was real new. It was real
I
new if it
think
was.
I want to say it wasn't quite 10. Oh, maybe it was.
I keep getting those dang like Facebook memories every day when I open up, and I can swear some of them are older than 10
You know
years
what?
old.
Yes, it is. It is because yes, it is a little bit older than 10 years ago. Yeah. So yeah,
But
right around
even
that
that
time.
was like underused technology. No one we didn't even know how to use Facebook when it came out. We would
Yeah.
just add people, and we're like, "Oh, look, Sarah went to the park yesterday," and we would like put our phone down. Like it was so basic back then.
Yeah, but now it's like everybody's, looking at their phones or on a screen, whether it's a tablet or a computer. And it's become different to reach out and network with people in some good ways, and some we're kind of losing the authenticity of a handshake. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think we're losing the authenticity of a lot of things. I
Mhm.
mean, you have to think like this is just our version of it. 100 years ago, they were like, we don't have to churn butter anymore because this machine will do it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right,
or they'll
right.
say we don't have to do this anymore. We have a machine for it. And I'm sure at the time, people were like, "Well, we're losing touch." Like, we used to get out there with our hands and do it, and now you just have a giant claw machine that comes through and gets all the corn and like scoops it up.
Yeah.
So I think this is just our version of it because we're so much more like technologically advanced than like ages before us. I think this is kind of like our like industrial or maybe like technology revolution.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we rely on technology for. And I guess until the pandemic hit, we didn't realize how much technology we rely on. But socially, it's hit us in a lot of different ways where we can connect with people all over the world, but somehow we're disconnected in our own communities. And
Yeah.
it's an interesting space to be in when you are a person who is looking for validation, stability, roots, even just to have a community to say that I'm a part of this community. I feel validated, I feel seen, I feel heard, I feel valued. And this, I mean, this is a theme that has run the course of human history, but I think that with the technological advances that we've experienced, even in these last 10, 15 years, we're pulling more and more away of connecting with people. And it was interesting. There was this TikTok of
TikTok.
a
That's where you
TikTok,
messed up.
and the girl, it was a TikTok of a TikToker who were recognized by some fans. She was in the middle of about to do a TikTok.
Right.
And they said, hey, can we get an autograph or whatever? Or can we get a picture together? Because
Right.
autographs, who does those anymore?
Right. Yeah.
It's like, can we get a picture together? And she's like, yeah, let me do this TikTok real quick. And I'm just like, okay. Are they celebrities now? Is that what
Yeah.
we're
Oh, yeah. They're millionaires. They're multimillionaires. I mean, some of them are shooting huge numbers. Like TikTok's become the new avenue. Like it kind of took a little bit away from podcasting and some other places because now people, even with podcasts, will upload clips of their show to TikTok and have like their channel on TikTok, and it'll have like little snippets. Oh,
really?
they're getting like paid. It's unreal how paid they are. Yeah, TikTok is booming. I can't get enough of it. When I'm not doing anything, I'm on TikTok.
I am similar in that way to Instagram, but I think there's just a generational difference that happens. Like because our parents are on Facebook, then the then the ones under them are on Instagram, and then the younger ones are on TikTok. So if you want to get your stuff seen, typically gain a following who's actually going to move to see your stuff, then yeah, TikTok is a way to go. But it's much faster in TikTok world as opposed to Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah, you phase out in a heartbeat on TikTok. Like you're hot for like that 1 second, and then it's a wrap. Like the next second they're swiping, they're onto a whole new. It's so
Right.
hard to stay relevant on TikTok.
But that's the thing. So I talked about this earlier in podcasting when we look for that relevancy to stay when we look to stay relevant, or we look to stay on the radar of people, we lose our authenticity
Right.
because we're just trying to go viral and do what's hot,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
opposed to gaining an audience that is going to kind of acknowledge and rock with you for a bit.
Right.
Because you can have a hot video, and like the whole where the money reside guy, he was hot for a minute. And then Tessica Brown posted her,
Right.
the Gorilla Glue girl,
Oh
Tessica
my
Brown.
god.
Yeah, she posted her. She was hot for like a couple weeks, maybe, and got representation. I don't. It was like a management company.
Oh
What are
yeah,
you talking about?
they get like like agency deals, they get signed like, but it's so much more hard work to grind and not be anything, you know what I'm saying, for a couple years. Like a lot of people don't want to do it, and it's real tempting to jump into the viral kind of like pool and just be
Yeah,
like, I just need a hot minute to blast off, but once they blast off and like that fuel burns out, they look behind them and they're like, I don't have anything else.
right,
I don't have any like substance. There's nothing to carry me. Like you can make a lot of noise and get on stage, but once you get on stage, you actually have to have something to say. And a
right,
lot of these people get famous and they keep like this channel, and it's like, well, you got famous for like one incident. Like, what are you going to give me so that I'll keep looking at you for the next 4 years when you post something?
Right. Nobody's checking
So,
out Backpack Guy. I don't even
yeah,
know
or
where's the
like
Backpack Kid?
Bad Barbie, and that's a horrible example to bring up because I can't stand her or her music, but
Who's bad?
Bad Barbie. Remember the girl on Dr. Phil, the Catch Me Outside
Oh,
girl?
her.
She got
Oh, she
like
has a name.
she,
Oh my god.
I should have just said Catch Me Outside girl.
I was like, she's got a name. I
Yeah,
completely forgot about that. Yes.
she
Okay.
has a name, but
Oh, that's right. Somebody like branded her
oh,
like
she's signed. She's got like albums out. She's doing like songs with like Lil Wayne and like all like the Young Money
oh
crew and stuff. Like,
mm,
it's all corporate stuff that gets them to do it. But she turned it into like millions of dollars. But some of them
okay.
can't. I'm not a fan at all. Trust me. I saw a TikTok where she was singing like one of her new songs. I didn't even let like the music play in. I was like, no, no, no,
Not her. No, I don't want you
no.
to recommend her to me at all. No,
I can't.
thanks.
I can't do it. I didn't even like the Dr. Phil episode she was on. So I'm definitely not listening to the music. So, but it's hard to stay. And I think it's because when people want to value someone else's life, I think you have to first like make your life matter on the
Yeah.
inside, because then everything else you do will be authentic.
Yes.
If I can matter to myself and I have self-worth, then I can go out to the public and present myself and say, this is me, this is where I stand in the world. Like, because everyone wants to feel important, but if you don't make yourself feel important, it's not going to be genuine when you pretend to care about other things. And
Absolutely.
that's what you see online with people, all the hashtag this, hashtag that, and then they power the computer off. And they're not spreading anything to their friends about being more accepting. They're not changing their own household to be more accepting. They're going online, they're posting something, and they're checking their phone every 2 minutes, not for a change in culture and society, but to see how many likes they got in the last hour.
Right.
I posted that Stop Asian Hate thing and it got over 100,000 views. They're more happy about getting 100,000 views than spreading Stop Asian Hate to 100,000 people. And
Right.
that's where it lies. That's why I hate when stuff is on the internet and people are like, trying to pour out this like fake sense of camaraderie. And then you open up their profile and it's like, well, what are you doing though? Like, are you just like in between lunch meals thinking of a creative way to get clicks? Are you actually trying to tell all of your fans where you stand like morally?
Right.
And
And
that's the internet part that really gets to me.
it's people are always looking to be, I mean, we see clickbait, we see when people are, we know that it's not, we see the prank videos, we
Right,
see
right.
the videos where people are like, oh my gosh, especially when people are just have the audacity to like label themselves couple goals or family goals. And I'm just like, y'all are just two people in the world who found each other and
Right.
found a way to make it work on camera.
Yes, that's
That's
100% it.
that's all you guys are. You guys are not the end all be all. You guys may be right for some, but it's getting to a point that it becomes kind of frustrating because the younger generation, and I'm talking about the teeny boppers, like
Right, right.
the tweens and the 10-year-olds and stuff like that, who are watching this stuff and thinking that, oh, this is what real life is. And I'm
Right,
just like,
right.
no, you still have to learn how to work with friends and do well in work or school or whatever the case may be. Internet is just that. And once you become irrelevant, that's it. Unless you have, like you said, unless you value yourself and find significance within, it's going to be very hard for you to bounce back after you're no longer in the spotlight.
Right, right.
And
It
I don't want to be on that rotation where I'm looking to be hot on TikTok or looking to be hot on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, for the sake of being hot for a second. I would rather work on building my community around whatever brand that I put out and
right,
have that
right.
community follow, as opposed to getting 100,000 likes on one picture that was a viral link that somebody probably clicked on.
Well, because you authentically you want them to like you and you want them to
Yes.
like your message. And
Yeah.
that's why you don't go fake so early, because people that do that, they don't It's because they don't think what they are is good enough. So they have to have a viral. They have to have like a big, huge show with fireworks. Like, look at all this up here. Look at all this over here. And ignore me because I don't think inside I have anything to offer. Like, that's what it comes off as. So anybody that wants to like start a show, like, you have to just be able to not be anything for a while and hope that people come by and tune in and go, oh, I like that. She's not over here screaming for attention. She's not over here trying to pull a bunch of antics. She's just putting a simple message out. I'm receiving it. If I like it, I'll continue. And if I don't, then I'll go the other way. Like, that's how it should be. It shouldn't be this, like, because we all fall for clickbait. Like, you're 100% right.
Yeah.
We all cry during Grey's Anatomy. You know what I'm saying? Do you think Grey's Anatomy is releasing that episode to have a social change in the world? No, they're releasing it because it's hot right now.
Yeah.
People are going to tune in for that one episode where the thing happens with the people that works out just how the world is. Like, and we all love to see it because it's kind of like an affirmation of what we want to happen in the world.
Right.
But, you know, we all cry during it because we feel something. But I can promise you the studios that make these shows are not making them with your heart in mind. They're just trying to, what can we throw out and grab them?
People's
like, what
paying money? Oh, they're paying money. Yes, absolutely.
It's what like I just got a message on my phone saying DMX is in the hospital from a drug overdose. And you know, the article I read, I was trying to find out all of the is he going to be okay stuff. All of the first 4 paragraphs is drug misuse and he got arrested and did this and served 12 months. I'm like, the guy is in a coma right now.
Right.
Can we please, like, his family.
Was it confirmed that it was drug overdose? Because I know they were speculating that drugs are involved, but I knew it wasn't confirmed. And I was like, why do we even have to introduce this idea?
The story, and I'm going to call it that because most of the time that's what it is, just a story.
Yeah.
Because that they just, especially TMZ, good Lord, you might as well just light your phone on fire and kick it down a hill. You're going to get the same answer as you'll get from TMZ. But like, it said that he checked himself into rehab and got back out and was struggling. And then they found him at 11 p.m. of a heart attack due to a drug overdose. And right now they say he's technically in a coma, but he has some brain activity. And like, that hurt me. I mean, I love DMX. I grew up on DMX. I'm 30 years old now. When I was really in my shapeable years, like DMX was in movies, you know, his music career. I had like all his stuff.
Yeah.
I even watched the versus battle he did with Snoop not too long back.
I know, right? I was like, wait a minute. That's why my dad, because I recorded like 3 episodes today. And so right before we finished, or right after we finished my second one, my dad was telling me that, they said that they're not sure if it was a drug overdose or not. He just got the notification. And so I know it's going to be really hard if we lose DMX.
Right.
Just because of the impact that he's had, especially Rough Riders. And it's just wild that it's like, can we just know that he's not okay right now? We don't have to like point to all these other issues that he's had. We know who DMX is.
If you listen to his, you know who stopped, drop, shut him down, open up shop. Like everybody, you don't have to like Google DMX and be like, what has he been getting into? If you're an actual fan, you know all the downfalls. Can we just take a minute and like I just picture people's family reading that.
Right.
Like his aunt or like a cousin, like, or one of his children reading it and just going like, not getting any information, but TMZ is just trashing your dad for like a full article. And then at the end they go, he might not make it though. Like, how can you be that? They say they deliver news, but to be so cold with someone's life like that.
I wonder what people's intentions are in the way that they shape these stories, which is similar to the way stories are shaped on social media. When people, when they post things, whether the girls are half naked or the guys are, doing the squint in the sun thing, or
they always look like they just had like a really hard math question, and
they're like,
I don't know.
What? Let me look off into the distance because I need glasses.
I was supposed to just stand here with an 8-pack. I didn't know. I don't know what's going on right now.
Where's my shirt? I don't know.
Yeah, the wind blew it away right before the camera snapped. Like, what happened? Like, God, I hate that.
I'm just like, I don't I get it. There's an intention that you're looking for there. There's a validation that you're wanting, and getting the follow for follows and all of that kind of stuff. But like you said, a lot of people don't want to go through that phase of not being validated or not being seen for the work that they're doing. But one of the greatest pieces of advice that I've seen recently was by this comedian, Kev on Stage, where he was saying that if you want to do a podcast, for example, start a business, whatever, if you want to do a podcast, you have to be willing to do 100 great episodes with little to no audience.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%. If you can do 100 great episodes, little to no audience consistently, 100%. Then you may have something there. And it's like we forget how quick and how fickle Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook is on picking up stories. Like you can really blow up in a second, but if somebody were to Google your name, or Twitter were to find out who you are or whatever, what else is there behind that one dance that you did, or that one thing that you said, or the way that you handle? Yeah, like
when people run for president, it's like this guy was a governor for 19 years, and the second he runs for president, he goes, "Oh yeah, he likes to, kick boxes full of kittens." And you're like, "What? Where was this information for the last 20 years?" But the second he wants to be president, all of a sudden he knocks over mailboxes on the weekends when he's not working.
So y'all knew about this as a governor, and y'all didn't want to bring this to, okay, so it wasn't relevant until now.
But see, now you're gonna get me to dip into my conspiracy theory bag, because then I got to tell you that they always have something on everybody. They just wait. They just, like the Harvey Weinstein stuff. Man, everyone in Hollywood knew about it. Everyone knew, and the second he stepped over the line, they just sent the email out and just ruined the whole guy. Because they have all this stuff on you.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, they have it all. And we're always so shocked. It's like someone steps out to do something, and if they're like, you seem like a nice person, and then you just boom, like a letter gets sent, a tweet gets sent, and you're like, oh my God, he's like trafficking wild animals across you know what I'm saying? You're just like, Jesus.
Like what house, what island? Wait, what plane was this?
It's like, I mean, Bill Cosby was my childhood.
Yeah.
Bill Cosby was America's dad. Like he was like, when that one happened, I went, oh my God. Like that. No, I still don't have words for it. And it's been years since it went down.
Yeah. But the only heartbreaking thing that I felt about the whole Bill Cosby trial and thing like that. Well, not the only, because there's a couple things. I don't like the double standard of what it is. And especially with the way they handled his case versus handling what's the justice name? Kavanaugh. Like those two trials completely different. And but my biggest issue with it is that they stopped airing the Cosby Show. And I was like, okay, but he's not the only person who's benefiting from it. If you wanted to try to take that from him, you can try that. But like stopping or trying to kill off his legacy because you saw that they didn't bring it out until he tried to buy CBS.
I was just about to tell you that.
That's the only reason why only reason why they were like, because he taught. The crazy thing is, okay, all right. This is why I try not to talk about conspiracy theories, because I will jump down the rabbit hole with you.
I love it. So, yeah, go on.
When he was on, was it Larry King? It was an episode of Larry King when he was talking about Spanish Fly, and you don't need a lot. Yep. You just do a drop. And I was like, so we're okay. Everybody heard this. Everybody heard this at the same time. I just want to make sure everybody heard this. Okay, but we're okay with this right now. Okay. Cue him getting big enough to buy out a whole station. And they're like, we're just going to ruin you. We're not going to say no. We're going to say no and then ruin you.
Yeah.
We want to take away your entire legacy. And not only did they have one, but 30 and counting, all of a sudden their memory comes back from something that happened 30 years ago. And I'm just like, okay, guys, this is overkill.
The same people that were paying some of these, because I don't believe all of them are true. Just because when it happened, you get everybody come out the woodwork. Oh, he did this. Oh, he did that. Let me get a check. Let me get a check.
Right,
but
right.
If there were any women, the same people that paid them to be quiet when they want to kill off Bill Cosby, the same people coming back paying them to give a statement.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
They're all the way at the top. That's what they're like little shells on the beach. Like if you pull one up and you find something under it, you're like, okay, good, we found it. They're all over the place. You've just found one little. That's why they're quick to shut it down. They're like, oh, he did that. Let's get rid of him. He's a monster. So they hope everyone kind of goes, ooh, all right, guys, we're good for now. No, they're all everybody at the top for the most part. Everybody at the top.
They all, and Dave Chappelle talked about it.
Oh my god, oh man, that dude is the new like Billy Graham to me. The way he's like spreading gospel, he touches. I've never laughed and cried at the same time. Instead watching, because he hits you right here, and then he makes it funny, and then he brings it all the way back down and hits you again, and you're just like, damn, I've got to do more. Like, we've got to reevaluate this. Like the way he puts it is so perfect.
And when I listen to his stand-up, it's like he's so great at what he does. And even in his retelling of circumstances that he's been in, where he's had to navigate, because he didn't do what what's the girl's Monique. He didn't do what Monique did in saying, okay, everybody, boycott Netflix. It was like he said, look, they won't give me back my stuff. And he admitted, I was young. I made this decision to sell off my likeness and all my stuff, and I just want my name back.
Right.
And it was, so he just pled to the people, hey, people, don't watch my show on Netflix. And Netflix, since they've been doing well with Dave Chappelle, because Dave Chappelle brings a lot of people for his stand-ups, they're like, okay, let me go ahead and pull it. But just pulling back the veil a little bit to see what he's going through, and him being so transparent about it, it makes the newer generation that's coming up, because eventually these people are going to die off. Eventually, some of the stuff is still going to stand. But I'm hoping that as this generation ages up, we'll be more socially conscious of the impacts of the decisions that we make, especially when it comes to Hollywood, the arts, and policies in the political sphere. Because I didn't realize it was not only interesting how the lack of diversity in Congress, but how old Congress was. I'm like, how? Okay, so the median age is what? Okay, so we're clearly out of touch with what's going on in the real world.
They haven't updated from, back like way back in times. The old people were the only ones you did listen to, because they're like, look, I've been around for 30 years. Trust me, if you go around that mountain, there's a lion and he's going to eat you. All right? Listen to me. You're young. You don't know anything. I'm old. I know everything. I can build a fire. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody respected the elders.
Right.
But now in the age we live in, we're so able to access information that it really is like not so much young, but younger people. And I've hated that Congress and like all these branches, they just have these like fossils, these like pterodactyls with like robes on. And it's just like, these people, like, they look like they're just not nice people. And they're standing up there and they look barely cognitive, and they're supposed to be ruling on the most important stuff in the entire country. And one like dies every 2 years. And it's like, you can't have people around making decisions that were also around making decisions back when we weren't making good decisions as a country.
That's true. I agree.
Got these people from the 50s and 60s and stuff like that, and it goes, you pull their track record, and it's like, this guy voted against, black people being able to do this, or black people being able to do that, and now that same guy's trying to like bang a gavel and like call everyone's attention to vote on a very important bill for black people. Like, I don't want that guy handling the agenda for any sort of minority group to push forward, because who knows what this guy feels on the inside. He's been doing this so long. He's just adapting to what the people are yelling at him. Like, we have got to wipe all those slates clean, but they never
I
will
agree.
until it's funny how it's kind of ironic. Dave Chappelle stood against the system. They pushed him out and shunned him. He got so big over there in the corner with so many eyes on him. That same system paid him $40 million to do 2 specials on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm like? They don't want to see certain groups succeed until they super succeed.
Right.
And then they pick them up and they go, oh, this is great. We love this. We endorse this. We need more of people like this. But the same people they're trying to destroy, once they get big enough, the system needs them, because all the eyes that were on the main people, like the big corporations, have now shifted to these small groups that are trying to get a message out. So now what does Nike do? What does Adidas do? What does all these companies do? They start like pouring money into the communities when really they're just trying to buy whatever we're looking at. And
Right.
I hate that that's what fuels at the end, and you lose sight of the message a little bit when you get that kind of corporate pickup, because they take you on and they're like, we believe in your message. We'll give you $20 million and a contract. Here's a 12-page list of what we want you to change, though. Here's here's a list of what we don't agree with that you just said. Like, you lose a little bit of the message. So I kind of like Dave Chappelle's stance, and I kind of like that he took some money from the system. I love that they gave him $40 million. That's $40 million. They can't do whatever the heck they were going to do with it.
Yeah, and so here's how I feel about that part of it is they don't want to be a part of it because they don't think they can make any money off of it. And then when the system sees that you're making money off of it without them, they're like, but also I want a piece of that.
Right.
Like, come over here and do the same thing over here. We'll give you a bigger platform, and that way we can both make more money. And it's like, I didn't need you before. And it's kind of like what Amazon does, where they'll see a product and they'll let you sell your product on their site, and they see a way to make your product cheaper, maybe,
right,
or easier, and see that you're actually getting sales.
Wow.
So they'll duplicate your product and make their product Amazon choice,
Oh, yeah.
And drive down their price. So their price is cheaper, but they'll say it's the same thing.
Right.
Put you out of business.
Yeah, that's true. I always look at the Amazon choice. It always catches my eye when I look up at a product. Yeah,
because a banner is there. That's the banner is there to get your attention.
It hits me instantly, and I'm like, well, if they like it, it works in my house. Like, and I click.
Yeah, but you don't know how many small businesses may have been pushed out because Amazon.
That's insightful. I've never even thought about that. That's so subliminal that I've never even thought about that. Wow.
Yeah, that's why it's like, okay, well, I want to be able, like, for instance, if you create stickers, and Amazon, a big billion-dollar corporation, multi-billion-dollar corporation, they can not only create what took you 2 years to put together in less than a week, but they can also have it ready to be produced and all that, and sell it at a cheaper price until you're out of business.
Oh yeah, I've seen them plenty of times. The regular product would be $14.99, and then Amazon will have one, and it's 2 for $12.99.
Yes.
So not only is it the same product almost, but they give you like a double one. Yeah.
Just to make sure that you don't make any sales. And I'm just like, that's whew.
Well, to me, on the note of people making a lot of, it's like, whether you agree with it or not, marijuana has been illegal for a very long time, and it's because the alcohol industry, but it's also because of hemp and what they could have made with it as far as clothes. And I mean, it's
so
stronger
many
than
products,
steel.
right?
It's stronger than steel. CBD's been helping all these people, but they banned it because the groups that run the world is the steel, the oil, we could have had electric cars 20 years ago. We could have had the.
Do you know we could have had the bullet train a long time ago, but it was the oil companies that were just like, no, we're not going to let you guys. We're going to put so many things so many hurdles in your path. They have been in California talking about a bullet train since before I was alive.
Yeah.
And so Like, and even when I was younger, my dad was like, "Yeah, they keep saying this bullet train is coming," and they actually did it wasn't really an expose, but it was just like a piece on it, and they were just like, "No, we could have very efficient public transportation, but because oil is so lucrative."
Yep.
The oil companies will lobby to halt production of bullet trains and trains that will assist with getting people not only from city to city but state to state rather quickly without having to put so much pressure on air travel.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that would be so amazing. But no, oil.
Yeah, they
Steel. Like, come on, we need renewable sources that, because I mean, what's gonna happen? Like, when we're like this, stuck in the house, like you're not making money anyway because nobody's buying cars.
Yep. But if they don't want it to be and it messes with their pocket, they won't fix it unless we get too loud. Like electric cars could have been out a long time ago. Everybody started to rev up about the environment. All of a sudden, electric cars are fine now. All the bans are lifted. Everybody can, it's the same thing in the 30s and 40s. They had a campaign called Reefer Madness where they took Hispanic people and shot these commercials of them smoking marijuana, and they were going crazy when they smoked it. They lost their minds. They would like kill their wife. They would go commit a crime, and they would say, stay away. Marijuana kills. It's dangerous. They pumped out that, the Say No to Drugs is a good program because you said, for the most part, you should say no to drugs out there. But when they targeted marijuana, it was solely because they didn't want the hemp. They didn't want, now they're showing us now they can build cars out of hemp. You can build a car where the whole frame is built out of hemp, and it's stronger than like steel. You can make everything, clothes. You can like.
I knew about the clothing. I knew about clothing and how they had how hemp can take over different not take over, but be used in our daily lives, especially when it comes to like grocery bags, et cetera, et cetera.
CBD lotion. They have like all these, cancer patients. That was a big uptick that they would give them medical marijuana so they could eat and get their appetite back. And it has like different properties for skin and stuff. But until we made enough noise, and now, okay, well, hey, this state's legal. This state's legal now.
Right.
It's
but
only
it's still not legal on the federal level, which
I live in Georgia too, and it's like the opposite of legal, here. It's ridiculous. I don't. Anyway,
in some areas I'm like kind of confused because so it's legal where I'm from in California. It's legal in Oregon, Washington, Colorado, and some other states, right? But in states that are like here in North Carolina, I'm going down to Charlotte and it's just like, okay, so you guys are selling bongs. Are you also a dispensary or is it just the paraphernalia? Like what are we doing here, guys? And
are they at the CBD shops that sell like CBD bud and it looks just like weed and they're like, but there's no like THC component in it. And I'm like, that looks like marijuana, lady. Like, I don't know what you're like. I went in because I used to vape and I would go in and she was like, did you want to buy some of this? And I'm like, we're in the middle of Georgia. You just put like weed on the table. And she goes, no, it's CBD. And I'm like, ma'am, that is marijuana. Like I'm looking right at it, and she's just like, no. She's like, it's non-psychoactive, but it looks just like it. And these shops in Georgia are getting raided by like the DEA because
didn't Georgia just have a raid where they got like they raided a warehouse?
So there's like a new strain called Delta 8, and it's supposed to be legal everywhere because it doesn't cause like a lot of the effects that regular marijuana causes. It causes small amounts, but it's becoming so indifferent between the two that the DEA has just been busting into like shops and like setups and just like hauling people to jail, testing all their inventory and letting them out like a week later being like, oh, sorry, it's hard to tell the difference. Like the lines are getting blurred so much now that even the police force can't tell the difference when they pull somebody over. They're like, it could be, it couldn't be. We have to go get it tested now. And they're just arresting folks and being like, we'll let you go when the test come out. How can you arrest somebody for a week? How do you expect them to go back to work after you just took some guy for a week and arrested him?
Right. How so you want to arrest me on the off chance
On the off
that
chance.
I may have committed a crime?
Correct.
Are you going to give me my week back? Like,
Yeah.
what do
Like,
how does this work?
you know, and that's the sad part. Like you can sue in most cases, you don't win, but it's kind of an unfair system for the system to illegally take you in a sense, let you back out and be like, "Oops, my bad," but
Right.
let somebody outside the system make an "Oops, my bad," and when you go to court, they're like, "No excuses," but the
Right.
court can send you away for 20 years and let you out and go, "My bad, man."
Oh, here's $20
Yeah.
and the clothes that you came in 20 years ago.
Or here, we'll settle for $2 million. You just lost 2 decades of your life, but there you go. Like, how do you put a price on that? I
Right.
mean, they put a price on our lives. Have you seen the statistics where the Department of Motor Vehicles has the average value of somebody's life so that car companies use that to determine how much money they need to spend on safety?
Really?
They
What?
make cars a certain amount of safe until they reach that dollar amount, and then they scale back. Because cars could be a lot safer, but the average human life is only worth a certain amount of money. So they don't make cars any safer than what your life is valued at, statistically wise, by the DMV.
What?
Yeah. You can go on the website and see how much is each life valued by like the Department of Motor Vehicles, or if you do a good enough Google, it'll pull up that dollar amount, and they use that guideline to be like, all right, well, let's put this feature on to keep them safe, but don't do that. That's an extra $100 a car. We can't afford that. Their life isn't worth that much extra into it.
You,
Yeah.
wow.
It's all political. It's all political. This world would be so much better off without politics. This world would be a whole lot better of a place until we just started dividing things and trying to put barriers around people unnecessarily.
At least in two or three generations ago,
Right.
have the village mindset of, well, these people are older, they're able to give us information, but the reason why, but a lot of the issue is they never passed down that information, and they became career politicians,
Yes,
so that they're
100%. Yes.
only in power, that they're never living amongst the people. Like, for them to make six figures a year and tell everybody else that you summer to pay for a year of college, we're still in, somehow that equates to us being able to do better and live life. Like, do you not realize how stagnation works?
I've never
How
understood the
inflation works?
right. Like the struggle of one is expected on the struggle of another. Like you'll go to like somebody will be like, "Well, I had to struggle." So, that's the way. But like why? Why
Right.
why because you grew up like I grew up in the depression. That was the real struggle. You guys don't know. But why does it always have to be a struggle in the
Right.
future? Why does the lesson have to be learned through a struggle like that? Why does the lesson have to exist at all? Just imagine if there wasn't a struggle in the first place, you wouldn't have to have those hardened up walls that you have to learn to have
Right.
from growing up like that. And they always think that, oh, it'll make you stronger. Yeah, but it's making you stronger to get ready to fight a world that's more cruel than it has to be. So instead
Exactly.
of fixing the world that we're in, we're just trying to put like pads and like stuffing on top of these kids to protect them from it. And it's like, I just don't, it's like covering me in water because my house is on fire. So you're going to throw a bucket of water on me, and hopefully the fire won't get you because, you got a lot of water on you. So I think you'll be safe. Why don't you take some of the water and just put it on the house that's on fire that I'm standing in
Right.
the middle of?
And I don't like that mindset of just like, well, I had it rough, so you'll be fine. And it's like, no, 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 no. We're not built the same.
Our parents that go,
We're
no one paid for my whatever, so I'm not going to pay for yours. And it goes, well,
okay.
what kind of continuation is that?
Don't you? I could have sworn people wanted like, and like you said, why is it that just because you struggled, I have to struggle? We would be so much further as a community, as a group, as a country, if the next generation was like, look, I struggled through this. Like Jay-Z said, I did it so you don't have to, right?
Yeah,
I don't feel
exactly.
like it's necessary for for a generation to struggle, come through that, and then the next generation does the same cycle. It would make more sense of a generation struggles, goes through that, sets the next generation up to go further than what they did.
Right.
You shouldn't have to repeat what I did. No, I had to work to put myself through school so I can make so much money, right?
Right.
That means that you don't have to work. You can only focus on school. And because you can only focus on school, you can set up a business or career so that when your kid comes up, school is not even a worry. Now it's getting in the door at a business opportunity that they want, or creating that
Correct.
opportunity for themselves,
Yep.
and so on and so on. And that's how we get further and further and further along. But to say, well, $7 an hour is enough for a teenager. No, teenagers are not the only ones working these jobs that are paying low wages.
That's it.
Like,
Yeah.
you can't support it. Who is supporting a family on $7.25 an hour?
Sadly enough, a lot of people, to be honest with
Who
you. It
it's I
it kind of drives me back to my parents come from Mississippi,
Mhm.
which historically is not great, you know, in a lot of practices that went down in the South. And they were raised in the thick of that by
Mm.
parents, you know, that were raised even before that, when it was
Right.
even worse and there was even less acceptance and rights. And I remember, you know, they got taught what their parents learned. And when they had kids, they flipped a 180. And my dad, I remember my dad telling me, he said, "Look, I got raised to think this is right. I grew up to learn it wasn't right. I'm
Mhm.
not teaching you this is right. I'm teaching you this because nobody taught me that. I'm
Mm.
going to help give you everything you want because nobody did that for me as a kid. My mom divorced her parents at 16, got emancipated, worked, graduated high school early and worked 2 jobs to put herself through college
Mm.
because, you know, they were spreading a message that she didn't want to learn and pass on to her kid.
Right.
So it's weird. My parents basically raised me and my brother the opposite of how they were raised. I learned at a very young age. He would send me out the house. He'd say, "Don't, you know, you don't look at anybody different because of what they have in their life culturally." You know, he taught me very early on that America really just started to happen. And you have to respect people that have these cultures and these histories that date so much farther back than where you're living at right now.
Right.
Like he never take advantage of anybody. Never think that you have a better spot than anybody based on anything, because that person 90% of the time is going to come back and outwork you. And that's the kind of laziness that a lot of kids are taught. It's like, you'll be fine, you'll do good, you'll be okay,
Right.
just float on up. There's somebody that grew up with next to nothing right next to you that would claw and scratch to get to the point where you're at in life. And when we would graduate high school and go out, that person's going to work to get theirs. And you're going to just be stuck out there kind of floating because you thought when you graduated it would all work out.
Right.
And I learned at a real young age that you have to really scrap. And my dad kind of taught us to scrap, but he just they were raised awfully. I mean, they were just raised by the worst parents in the world. And they could have passed that right along to us. Now, I mean, there's a lot of things my parents didn't agree on,
Mhm.
just in the world, just being 60 something years old in the world. There's new things that are going to happen that my parents are going to go, I don't understand that.
Right.
But would they get inside of a booth and check the box to vote for somebody's right to do it every single time? And I think that attitude has been canceled as well. I think the being able to disagree has been canceled. Not on
Yeah.
critical issues, but there used to be, you know, used to be able to act like I'm 80 years old, but being 30, you know, when I was like in my 20s, you used to be able to look at someone and say, I don't agree, but I respect your right to do it. And I'll vote for
Right.
your right to do it. And I hope doing that makes you happy. But me personally in my life, I wouldn't do that personally because I don't agree.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that it's wrong or bad. But now in this culture, you can't do that. You have to agree. You have to adopt it. It has to be 100% perfect. Like, you can't even not, like, you have to be okay with it. You have to champion it. Well, why can't I just agree with their right to do it? Why can't I agree
Exactly.
that their life is equal to mine and their experiences will differ in life just like mine? You know, there's a lot of things you could look at my life and say, I don't agree with that. If we
Mhm.
if we really both sat down and analyzed each other. but that's because it's not your life. That's because it's not, it's not my life. It's your life to live.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wish we could respectfully disagree more. I feel like that's out the window now.
Well, I think a lot of that is out the window because we got into this culture of demonizing people who are different from us. Like it is, and I try, and it's so funny that you say, that about your parents is that when people are like, oh, racism doesn't exist, blah, 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 exactly what you said, the lineage that your parents came from is what I've explained to people multiple times. I was like, okay, well, the people who were enslaving people didn't just die off. They had children who taught
Yep.
their children, who taught their children, who taught their children, who's alive today. So you can't really expect things. I mean, things will always change incrementally. And
Right.
as long as you can learn to validate and appreciate yourself, you're not worried as long as they're not hurting you or doing damage or harm to you or your household. You can be okay with someone living their best life.
Right.
You
Yeah.
don't have to, but I don't have to agree. I don't. If you want to eat, whatever you want to eat, if you want to go where you want to go, like I said, as long as you're not hurting anybody, feel free to go, say, do, act, whatever it is that you want to do. But if I don't agree with you,
Right.
that is not then cause for you to come into my space to tell me that I'm not living my life right or I have to support you. It's not like regardless of what group you belong to, where you live, what you do, how you act, the way you talk, if you choose to say or do something and I don't agree with it, I can still respect you.
Right. We can still be friends. I mean,
Yeah.
I've had best friends that I had major disagreements personally with.
Hmm.
Like they believed this, I believe that. Every time we met, we didn't push the agenda on either of them. We talked about
And that's
everything else in between. And that was my homeboy. Pulled up every time he'd call me, I would leave my house instantly. We would spend like most days together. Like we always hung out. And we couldn't agree on a lot of stuff, but we agreed on some stuff that made us get along. Like we found common ground. You're
yes.
interesting in this way. I'm interested in that way. It balances this way. Like it doesn't have to be you have to like everything I like and respect it and agree with it and champion it, or we can't talk. And it goes, but
Absolutely.
why? But why? I'm I'm trying to fully respect your life by giving, by letting you express it inwardly for you. Like this is my life for me to express.
Right. I appreciate you so much for having this
Okay,
conversation.
went out on a
This
hot
has
note.
been,
I
yes.
appreciate it too. Thank you.
This has been a really great conversation. You know, just being able to have conversations like these and let people be able to, talk how they want to talk and really get out what it is that they want to talk about, especially when it comes to social media, their stance and where we are in relationships and trying to move people forward, whether or not you want to have a legacy in your child, in your business, in your family, whatever that legacy looks like. Just being able to have that conversation. So before you get out of here, if you
Okay.
wouldn't mind, I would appreciate if you can tell people where to find you so that they can tune into your show. It is not as nearly as heavy as this conversation, but you will absolutely have a good time laughing and talking with you and your brother.
I like to think it's a break from serious conversations. That's kind of
Yes.
how I like this show because I love serious conversation. I mean, me and you just had what does that say up top? Like an hour and 18 minutes of serious conversation. I love it,
Yeah.
and I also love to take a 30-minute break from it. So that's kind of what like our show. We get serious sometimes, but that's like 10% of the time. It's the Half Hour Bros podcast. I'm Curt. The co-host is Tom. We release new episodes every Friday. We have a contest going on. Listen to the last episode that we put out and answer the question on our Twitter at Half Hour Bros Pod, and you can win a free hoodie. We were giving away face masks for a while. We have Half Hour Bros mask, but we switched to a hoodie just to. I'm thinking if I make it a more expensive contest, that maybe it'll draw kind of more of a pull in because we're still in the early stages of like, who are you? Like when
Yeah.
people come across, but I appreciate you letting me on here. I love the whole concept of this show. I love the nice backdrop of the water. Like I love from the intro to it, the kind of take up space. Like I'm glad you had me on. I do appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. And thank you all for tuning in. This has been another episode of Take Up Space Podcast. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Take Up Space Pod. That's Take Up Space POD. And also, after this show airs on Tuesday, we will be going live on Thursday. And hopefully at that time, we'll be able to have Curt back for our live show Thursday at 8 p.m. Central on Facebook and YouTube. So, make sure that you tune in, and we'll see you there. Have a good one.